This is my video discussion thread, ethical violations and board discipline. I did use one resource, which I thought was very helpful. It was a resource, it was an article written by Wilkinson, Smith, and Wimberly titled Trends in Ethical Complaints Leading to Professional Counseling, Licensing Boards, Disciplinary Actions. In their research, they find two most common complaints, common reasons. Number one is practicing without a license or inaccurate representation of credentials, and number two, having sexual relationship with a client. So I chose a professional counselor from the state of Louisiana who's a discipline. Her behavior led to the discipline. According to the complaint, she failed to notify the board of two past convictions, and she had one in July 2000. Driving a vehicle intoxicated, and the second conviction was appearing in an intoxicated condition. And so, according to ACA Code of Ethics, this person violated the standards and the law, the knowledge, right? Counselors know and understand the ACA Code of Ethics, which I think that's important. Under the Louisiana Administrative Procedure Act, she violated Code RS 371110, the letter A, number 6, which says the board shall withhold, deny, revoke, or suspend any license issued or applied for in accordance with the provisions of this chapter, or otherwise discipline a license upon proof that the application or licensee, number 3, has violated the Code of Ethics adopted by the board. What was the outcome of the board discipline? Well, she has to pay $250, and if she violates, she has to pay $250 in the 2 years. If she doesn't pay it, if she violates this consent agreement order, she will be immediately suspended for 2 years to practice counseling in the state of Louisiana. My reaction, as I was reading this information, it went directly to integrity, and integrity is so important for any professional, any counselor. She failed to inform the state about those two past convictions. And so I thought about the clients that are under her care, under her supervision. What are you teaching them? What kind of example are you setting? What does the ACA Code of Ethics and ASCA Ethical Standards for School say about counselor impairment? Well, according to the ACA Code of Ethics, counselor impairment is C2G. Impairment counselors monitor themselves for signs of impairment from their own physical, mental, emotional problems, and refrain from offering or providing professional services impaired. The ASCA ethical standards of counselors, they say to recognize the potential for stress and secondary trauma, practice wellness, self-care, monitoring mental, emotional, physical health, seeking help, seeking consultation, monitor personal behaviors, recognize the high standard of a care for a professional. Um, what does impairment look like for a school counselor? Well, I mean, impairment, what it looks like in a school counselor is someone who is struggling with maybe a physical condition, mental, emotional condition that limits them to offering counseling to the client, and they need to make sure that we, as myself as a future school counselor, I have to make sure that I'm healthy, and to avoid that, to avoid burnout, to avoid these things, I think it's just try to get some rest. Exercise is so important, making healthy choices and eating healthy lifestyle choices to minimize the risk of impairment. Create a spiritual practice, mindfulness, prayer, yoga, exercise, whatever you have to do to really help you with that mental, physical, emotional stage. And I think another key point is to know and understand not only the state law on where you're practicing, but also the ACA Code of Ethics. Really understand that, and the ASCA Ethical Standard of Ethics. And these are great guidelines to really help a professional help. I know it's going to help myself as a future school counselor to be reminded of those things. And so the resources I used was the one I mentioned earlier, and also the ACA Code of Ethics, as well as the ASC Ethical Standard of Ethics.